Good afternoon and welcome to our Career Corner for today. Today we are being joined by Ms. Jacqueline Springfield, and the career that she is going to share with us today is about being an actress and everything that entails, and some other amazing things that Ms. Springfield has done in this world. So Ms. Jackie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I am a professional actor based in New York City. I also teach acting, and I teach voice and speech to actors at several universities in New York City and also around the country.
Awesome. Um, how or why is this the career choice that you decided upon?
So I first decided that I wanted to be an actor when I was in high school. I had an epiphany my freshman year that performing was something that I wanted to do more than anything else. And I really started out as a dancer, and I knew that was something I enjoyed. But the thing about acting was I got a chance to tell a story like I did in dance, but I didn't just use my body. I also used my voice. I used more of my imagination. So acting brought together all the things that I enjoyed doing, and I started to be brave enough to think that I could actually make it a profession. So in undergrad, when I went to college, I took a lot of theater courses. I was actually a theater minor. I majored in something else, but I was a theater minor, and that's where I started to get my training as an actor. Learning how to audition, learning about the industry, uh, learning about different acting techniques and things that I would need to start to build a career. And then eventually I went to graduate school and got a Master of Fine Arts degree in acting, and have been working as an actor or connected to acting in terms of teaching other actors ever since then. But it started with that one day in high school where I did a monologue and I realized that I loved it more than anything.
Awesome. Which, if you're wanting to share with our students, which universities did you go to for undergrad and why, and which one did you choose for grad school and why?
So in undergrad, I went to Middle Tennessee State University, which is right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Blue Raiders, woo. Uh, and I chose that school because it was close enough to home where I could still see my family, but it was far enough away where I did not have to see them all the time. And I could, get a sense of independence. Um, their program that they were most well known for was the recording industry management, because being close to Nashville, the music industry was very much connected to their program. But what that meant was that all of the arts programs, performing arts programs at the school, were starting to be more vibrant. So I felt like it was the right place at the right time to do what I wanted to do in terms of acting. Um, and then a couple of years after I graduated, I got into graduate school at the University of North Carolina at in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I chose that program because I'd had a chance to spend some time in North Carolina performing in summer stock theater. And I got to know the area, and I really liked the area. And that's when I first found out about UNC Greensboro. And I visited their campus. I got to see their facilities, their theaters. I got a chance to learn a little bit about their program. And it just felt like the right match for me, someplace I could really learn and grow, um, and a place that I could live in for a while. Because when you choose a school, it's important to not just choose a school that you think is going to help you in terms of the program, but I really felt like it was important to live in a city that I felt like I could be comfortable in and flourish in as well. Um, so that's why I chose to go into UNCG for grad school.
Very nice. I know we've had some other individuals that we have interviewed that have talked about how they paid for school. Um, did anybody besides you chip in for either your undergrad or your grad school? And by anybody else, I just mean like, did you have any scholarships or did you have any grants in that way?
In undergrad, I had a full scholarship, a full academic scholarship. So as a part of my scholarship, I had to do work hours. And because of what my major was when I first started, I worked in computer information systems as a teaching assistant. Um, so that helped me to keep my scholarship all 4 years, and that paid for books. It gave me a stipend every year. So thankfully, because I was a good student and kept my grades up, and I was involved in the National Honor Society and a few other curricular activities, that really helped me build a good resume going into my undergraduate experience. So I was able to get a full ride for undergrad. For graduate school, because I was an out-of-state student, but the thing that uh, they offered me to help attract me to the school was that they gave me the tuition of an in-state student. Normally, when you attend a school that's outside of your home state, the tuition is higher. So they waived that higher tuition for me, and I paid a lower tuition rate that an in-state student would. So that helped a lot. And I also had an assistantship in grad school. So an assistantship is when you do work hours. It's similar to a scholarship, but it's more tied to um, you doing teaching, or let's say if there's a publicity office, or working specifically for the department that you're in. Um, and so I got an assistantship that helped me to also pay for school and provided some of my living expenses and that kind of thing for the 3 years that I was in my graduate program. The rest of it I covered with loans that I started paying off about a year after I graduated.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. What do you think is the most difficult thing or part of your career field?
So I would say, as an actor, um, the most difficult thing is that, unlike most other fields where you sort of progress at the rate according to how hard you work, and um, there's kind of an A, B, C, and like you go through your career in steps. Acting is not like that. Acting is there's a lot of more risk. There's a lot more risk involved, because there are so many people who want to be actors. There are so many people who are talented. There are so many people who are hardworking. But you can audition for something, and especially if you're talking about, your larger regional theaters or Broadway shows, or um, film and television roles, like on the major networks. When you get to that point where you're auditioning for things at that level, you might have tremendous amount of talent. You might have worked very hard. You might even get 3 or 4 or 5 auditions. At the end of the day, they may cast someone based on something that that particular person brought that has nothing to do with you or your talent, and it's not a negative reflection on you at all. But it just may be something specific that they were looking for, or it was a particular physical type, or there's 1,000 things that are outside of your control in terms of working as an actor. The only thing you can do is pay attention to the things that are in your control. So, getting good training, always being professional, always being prepared, always being knowledgeable about the field, knowing which casting directors are working. Casting directors are the people who will see actors and then recommend to the director, or whoever the creative forces are, recommend that person for the role. So they're kind of the tunnel that goes between the actors and getting into the roles that they're auditioning for. Um, so acting has so many variables that are outside of your control. So it requires that you be especially focused and that you know yourself especially well, because it can be easy to feel lost when you're pursuing a career as an actor, because there's so many things that you don't have control over.
Yeah, I would imagine that rejection um, on a regular basis, you have to have more of a thick skin as a human being to be able to be an actor, because you get to hear no a lot more than, say, someone else who's looking for just a job in computer science.
Absolutely.
So it's important to be able to hear no a lot and know that it, like what you were saying, it has nothing to do with you, and it oftentimes can be what is in the mind of the casting director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, I would have. That's probably very hard.
it is.
Besides money, because money is important, we all want an apartment or a home or a car, or at least to eat dinner every night.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the money that your career brings to you, what other things do you receive from your career that if you had gone a different way, you may not have received?
I think the thing that has been most um, helpful to me just in life in general is because acting is so collaborative, where you have to work with a large number of people in order to make a production happen. I've made a lot of friends, and gotten to know a lot of really wonderful people that I never would have, um, if I wasn't an actor. You know, if I had a job where that was more solitary, where I was sitting in an office or something like that, I might have the people around me every day that I could connect to. But as an actor, when you go from one project to another, you get to meet a really broad range of people. So it's made me a more open-minded person because I have gotten to know so many people and so many different kinds of people. It's garnered me a lot of really good friends. I actually met my husband at an audition, so I gained a husband out of my acting career, as well. You know, and he, as an actor, he gained a wife. So um, I think that's been the biggest thing, is the meeting a broad range of people, and getting to know so many people, and really building a large friend base.
Excellent. Um, I know this is a tricky question for you, and I don't know how you might want to answer this based on either your teaching or your acting, or maybe a combination of both. But what is the salary range for someone who is an actor?
It varies greatly. So I am a member of two unions. So there are two main unions that actors will join. There's SAG-AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors Guild. So if you perform on camera, commercials, television, you know, any streaming shows, anything like that, films, eventually you are going to become a member of SAG-AFTRA. I'm also a member of Actors Equity Association, which is the actors union for theater performances, for live performances, which of course that's shifting now with things moving online.
Mhm.
But the reason I joined those unions is because they, as a union, they're there to protect their members. So they guarantee you a minimum amount of pay. Um, each union has what they call a scale. So, for instance, for SAG-AFTRA, if you do a commercial, um, I think the like if you do a one-day shoot on a commercial, I think the minimum that you would get paid for that day is somewhere around $800. But if you do a commercial and it takes more than that, more than one day, or if it's a commercial that gives you what we call residuals, which means that you do the initial shoot, but then every time they air that commercial, you get paid for it. So you continue to get paid even after you've done the work. And depending on what you do, that could be an additional, you know, $5,000, $10,000 just for one day or a couple of days work. So it varies greatly. In Actors Equity, it depends on what show it is. If you book a Broadway show, you could get paid a minimum of 1,200 a week. So it just really depends on what the show is. The thing that, and this goes back to what's difficult about, you know, being a performer, is that most actors, if you think about not just your favorite actors that you see on television, right? Because that's really a very small number of actors. Most actors are out of work at any given time. even if you are incredibly talented and hardworking, most actors are out of work at any given time. So relying on the fact that you think you're going to make a huge ton of money, that's not really, you can't really allow that to be the goal. Your goal really has to be more about being able to do work that you could be proud of and work as consistently as possible. Because unlike other industries, you being an excellent actor is not always going to equate you making a lot of money. It rarely ever happens that way.
Is there anything else that you would want to share with the students of Weld Central Middle School about what you do and why and how?
I always tell people that if you're thinking about being an actor, you have to make sure that it's something that you love to the point where you absolutely have to do it, because it is difficult, because there will be a lot of rejection, because there um, are so many things out of your control. You have to really, really love it and be willing to take to make the sacrifices, to do the hard work, to make the commitment it takes. Um, and if you get as much training as you can, take classes, take workshops. Um, if you're interested in actually pursuing an academic program where you get a bachelor's degree, a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in acting, or a Master of Fine Arts degree in acting, those are always options, because those will also enable you to teach, which is also what I do. I teach actors, um, because it keeps me connected to what I love to do, and then I get to share that with other actors. But you have to love it enough that you are willing to stick with it, and you cannot take the rejection to heart. You know, it has no reflection on who you are as a person and your self-worth. You have to love it enough that the rejection just rolls off of your back, because it's the thing you want to do more than anything else, so you keep going in spite of it. But you cannot take it to heart. You can't allow yourself to be downtrodden when an audition goes bad or you don't get cast in something. You have to really truly be committed to it, or you have to decide that it's not something that you want. That maybe I like acting, but maybe I want to write instead, or I want to direct, or I want to teach. So you can do things that are related to acting, where you can have a little bit more control, and you can have a little bit more of a grasp on how you move forward in your career, because it's difficult to do that with acting. So I say, if you're thinking about it, make sure you love it more than anything else and get as much training as you can.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Springfield, for joining us today. We are so grateful for your time, and we are going to sign off. And thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.